All right, we're going to kick things off here, and first thing I really want you to focus on is the breathing. Breathing is the center of our life, foundation, movement. It's the first thing we do as we come into this world, and it'll be the last thing we do as we go out. So center yourself around the breath. Focus on breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose, long controlled exhalations, and have it as a focus the whole point here. If you find yourself in a point of tension, make sure you exhale, let go of that positional tension, let go of the muscular tension, and we'll continue to focus on that as we go out. So starting at the center here, we want to focus on good spinal health and mobility. So if you've got any back issues, really good one to be able to work through positions and range, but you don't want to push into painful positions. So to start off with, big breath in, exhale, going down as low as we can towards the floor. Big breath in. Full exhale. And just a side on view here as we go up. We want to slowly bend through, making sure that we get good movement all the way down. If we're getting any pain at any point here, just kind of pause in that position and then come back up. Now next movement here is we want to go hands across the shoulders. We want to imagine that we're being set in a bucket of cement from the hips down. So from this position, rotating forward, around to the side, extending back, looking towards the ceiling, rotating around, back to the center. Then we're going to reverse it up, go the other way, making sure the hips stay still, hips are tight, and we're going to reverse back the other way here. So we'll end up going 3 each way, trying to get a little bit further around as we go each time. Back around the other end. So make sure we're not going too hard through the hips here. We're going to try and keep locked on through the hips and make sure we're getting all that movement from our upper back. Keep the muscles in the legs tight. Keep the glutes tight. Focus on the breathing. All right, now from here, we're going to extend down and we're going to try and get more movement through the hips. So imagine we've got a hula hoop around the hips here, rotating all the way around to one side and then back around the other way. Slowly get bigger and bigger with the hip circles here. Right, so first challenge of our little movement screen here, we want to be able to practice our single leg stability. So how well can we stand on one leg? We're going to try and hug one knee up into our chest as we keep this leg locked out. Hold our knee up without letting it dropping. If that's too easy for us, we'll go eyes closed. Hug the knee again. Bring our leg out towards the side. Let go. Don't let it drop. Again, if you want more challenge on your balance, eyes closed. And then we're going to change onto the other side. So same thing here. Hug the knee up into the chest. Lock your leg out. Let go. Don't let the knee drop. Eyes closed. Hug the knee up into the chest. Out to the side. Don't lose your balance here. Keep controlling. Strong on that stance leg. Okay, if that was easy, now we're going to try and go through what we call a hip hinge or a single leg deadlift. So we're going to come up into this position here, coming through, trying to tap onto our opposite foot. If we're struggling with balance on this, we can keep a little bit of a kickstand here, but I want you to imagine that you're tapping your hips to the wall behind you. Try and touch your opposite foot with your hand. If we're comfortable here, then we want to start to then lift that leg off the ground as we go. And if we're finding this one easy here, we can then hold this position, rotate the hips up, control back down. Oh, a bit off balance there. And then we'll switch on to the other side. So starting, soft knees. I want you to imagine that your hips are shifting back, touch the wall behind you. Tap down onto that opposite hand. We want to keep our chest over our foot. If we're finding that easy as we come down, we can start to lift that back leg off the ground. Then if we're finding that easy there, once we get to that bottom position, we can lift the hips, control back down, lift the hips, control back down. Or again, as much balance as you need to on this one. So now we've started to get some of those muscles around the hips fired up. We're going to go into what we call a couch stretch. So opening up these muscles around the front of the hip flexors, things that get tight from long periods of sitting throughout the day. So grab something soft for underneath your knee. And we do this in 2 stages. First stage, we kneel. If when we're kneeling, we get enough of a stretch here, totally fine. We just want to imagine our hips are a glass of water. We don't want to be tipping water out the front. We want to be locking and keeping water in the glass and then pulsing forward to feel a stretch on the front of the hip. If we can, we try and place our foot up on a chair or on the back of the couch, and then same thing. Try not to tip water out the front. We want to lock the muscles on around the back of the hip here. Keep your glutes squeezed, and then pulse forward, pulse back. Should be feeling a strong stretch here. If it's too intense, just bring your knee away. If you can, slowly edge your knee closer into where you're stretching off. If you need more of a stretch, reach that arm up, and we're going to rotate around to the side as we keep the glute locked. All right, then we're going to alternate, same thing on the other side here. Again, if we can, we'll go straight into this variation. Keep the glute locked on that back leg. Imagine our hips are a glass of water. Keep water in your glass. Make sure we're not tipping out the front. So lock that on. Pulsing forward. Pulsing back, keeping the glute locked. Then if we need to, we can rotate around just to really open up this front anterior sling all the way up into our armpit. Keep the glute locked. Awesome stretch for anyone who spends long periods of time sitting throughout the day, or if you're cycling, or if you're doing sports where we've got a lot of activation of the muscles around the front of the leg. Especially if you've got things like low back pain or knee pain, it can be a really valuable stretch to add into the mix. So now what we want to do, guys, is we've shown a little bit of love to the hips, low body. We now want to get some of the muscles in our core fired up. We're also going to pair that in with some spinal mobility. So an exercise that we call a cat camel, or an angry cat, sad cat. We want to focus on bringing our head and tailbone as close together as we can. And then from here, round, pushing our back up towards the ceiling. Now we're going to tie the breath in with it. Big breath in, full exhale. Big breath in, full exhale. Big breath in. Okay, so now we're going to take this one down onto the ground, laying on our back on the floor here. So the name of the game here is creating what we call a stack. We don't want to let this position get further apart from one another, because that means our back is going to be working harder to create stability. What we want to do is we want to keep our hands one another, top of the pants, bottom of the ribs. As we start to move different parts of our body here, we don't want to see this position change. So good way to get what we're feeling here is big breath in, full exhale. Keep breathing out, keep breathing out, keep breathing out until you feel your core tighten up. And now try and maintain this position. We're going to bring our legs into a tabletop. To start with, if that's as much as we can tolerate, we just stay here. If we can, we bring the hands up. and then we start to take our opposite arm, opposite leg down towards the floor. As we're doing this though, I want you to imagine you've got a check for $1 million under the low back. Don't let me have it. We want to really keep pressure down here. We want to make sure these muscles at the front are working and we're not feeling the back overload as we go through this position here. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Again, only go to where you feel like you've got good control. If that's only to here, totally fine. If that's here, totally fine. The goal here though is to get that foot just off the floor without losing our position in the low back. Slowly back up, alternating side to side here. And then we're going to rest there. So we're going to get back into the cat camel. One more round, 5 reps. Shoulders up towards the sky. Sinking down. Big breath in. Full exhale. Big breath in. Full exhale. Okay, we're going to jump back onto the back here. Now in this option, we're going to try and get the muscles around our hips working a little harder. So we want to tuck our hips underneath as we bridge up into the sky here. Slowly peel our back down onto the floor. Tuck the hips under. Make sure we squeeze here. So again, this is where we want to think about holding this stack position. As we come up, we don't want to go so high that this gets further apart and all the load goes through here. We want to keep this locked and make sure our hips are the muscles that are doing the work as we bridge up. If that's too easy, what we can do is we can start to lift one leg up in the air, hold on to that leg, and then challenge single leg at a time, driving through. So a few points of focus, keep the core locked on, make sure we feel our hip working hard, and then on our foot, base a big toe, base a little toe, and our heel. Make sure we don't lose that big toe and our knee drives out to the side. Cool, then we'll alternate, or if you're doing double leg, keep on the double leg. So the main thing here is if we progress too fast, we'll feel unwanted muscles starting to kick in to keep us stable. We want to make sure that we can do the movement with good technique and feel the right muscles around our glute, the back of our hip working hard, and keeping our core tight. Drive through, foot contact, make sure that big toe is staying down on the ground. And then resting there. So we're going to run through 2 more stretches here to kind of finish this off. First one is called an adductor rockback, and it's addressing some of the muscles in our groin. It's going to allow us to open the hips up and provide a little bit of mobility around this area of the body. So one knee down on the body, we want to have our foot in line with our knee. Then we want our hands inside the line of our knee here. Keeping our position of our back nice and straight, we rock forward and then we rock back till we feel a light stretch on the inside of the leg, and we want to keep this knee tight here. Coming forward, coming back, coming forward, coming back. So we rock through for reps. I'm going to go through 4 more here. We don't want to go so hard that it feels like something's going to snap. We just want to go into a gentle stretch, feeling down here and being able to keep that knee straight. Good. So keeping this knee on the ground, we're going to bring this leg forward. Both hands come inside the line of our leg now. We want to try and keep the muscle locked on that back leg. Rotate our elbow towards our instep, and then rotate our hand towards the ceiling. Elbow comes down, hand comes up. Elbow comes down, hand comes up. Big breath in, full exhale. Right, now we alternate onto the other side here. So kick our leg out to the side, foot in line with knee, hands inside the line of our knee, keeping our back nice and straight. Rock forward, rock back, rocking forward, rocking back till you feel a gentle stretch on the inside of the leg here. Again, try and keep your knee locked. Don't push it to feel like anything's going to break. We just want to get a gentle stretch. And then what we're going to do here is take this leg forward, hands on the inside of the foot line, elbow to instep. Make sure we don't let this shoulder rock forward here. We want to keep a good line from our hand up to our hand. Elbow to instep, driving up towards the ceiling. Alternating side to side as we go. All right, next position here, we're going to take both our hands out in front of the body, sit back onto our feet. If we can tolerate this position on our knees, if we can't, we just come a little bit further out of there, take a bit of pressure off the knees. But as we get down to here, we're going to go both arms out on the floor. We're going to walk our hands over to one side. And so what we're doing here is we're trying to get a stretch along the outside of our body. And I want you to guide the breath into where you feel the tension. Big breath into the ribs. Full exhale. And slowly walk the hands around as far as you can. Focus on the breathing here. Breathe into tension in the other side of the body. Full exhale, nice and relaxed. Take your hands over the other way. Breathe into the side of the body. Try and walk your hands around, so try and lengthen as much as we can here. Full exhale. Make sure we're getting big, deep, relax as we breathe out. All right, guys, well that brings us to the conclusion of our session here. We got a good opportunity to run through some mobility drills for our thoracic spine, our upper back, try and open the chest up, get a bit of rotation, open the hips up, which is great if we're sitting or if we've got any low back issues or issues around the knees or the hips. We also had an opportunity to wake up some of the muscles around our hips and our core, just get the body switched on a little bit more, get all those key portions, a bit of blood flow to there, but also some activation so we can create better stability and go on throughout the day feeling like we're more energized and got better movement, better body control, better vitality, and giving our bodies a little bit of love that they need and deserve. So again, treat it like brushing your teeth. You take care of your teeth by brushing morning and night. Treat this as like a little brushing of the teeth for the joints and the muscles. You want to be giving them some love and attention. So thanks, appreciate you coming along for the session, and don't be afraid to reach out if I can help out with anything.